What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hardcore Fab Shop. On today's video, we have got another exciting one. Lately, we've had nothing but exciting videos, but this one might top the cake. So, yeah, we've seen the inside come together and look beautiful, or at least starting to come together and look beautiful. We've got our bed all together. We've actually seen our cable actually lift up front of Old Crow back there, so that's awesome. We've got our new glass in here. Everything's looking style in there with all that. But today, I'm actually going to try to see if I can't make the thing run. So up until this point, we've had just the blower and the intake and all that kind of stuff just sitting there mocked up. We haven't actually had it bolted down or anything. But today, we're going to bolt it down. We're going to build some exhaust. We're going to get some wiring into this thing. And if luck's on my side, we're going to get to hear it run. So stick around because you're not going to want to miss this one. Oh yeah, look at that. Man, that feels good to finally have all that stuff bolted down. Now, I've still got a ton of stuff left to do before we can try to fire this thing, but I gotta just sit back here and check it out for a second because that's badass. I don't care what you say. Alright, well, that's about as long as I have to be able to do that, so it's time to try to probably knock out some exhaust, and I gotta figure out a way to hook up throttle cable and a little bit of other stuff. So, I guess more working, less talking. Alright, so for our throttle, we've got kind of a universal pedal set up here. It's kind of bolted into the floor, and then going through the firewall, and then coming up there hitting the throttle bodies. So, goes through, comes out the front here, comes up, and then I'm actually running off the front throttle body. The reason for that is it comes with this little bracket here. Should be mounted back here, but then that's got the steel braided cable rubbing all over my firewall, jacking up my paint, and I would also have to notch the hood out around that cable because it actually comes up and does a loop like that. So to be able to still have my hood folding from the side, I'd have to notch the hood even more, and I don't have much hood left there to notch. So I've moved it up here, which is actually working out pretty good. The only problem with this scenario is that the back throttle body was in the way. So I built a little bracket here, and it just comes up and comes forward, and then just allows me to bolt that a little bit farther out. And then I went to the outside of the throttle body instead of the inside. So not too bad on that. Got that all done. Now I guess we need to knock out some exhaust. So I'm a little disappointed that I don't have a little bit more time to be able to work on this thing and build a complete badass set of headers, because what I have in my mind is just a big ball of snakes wrapped around each other and then coming kind of forward and then having the exhaust come back through the ball of snakes and maybe try to incorporate some kind of a muffler or something in there with all of that and have all of our length and everything that we need to be able to put our O2 sensor in, to make our fuel injection run and all that stuff. But I don't have time for all that because I'm still, I don't know, 10 days, something like that, before I need to leave for SEMA. And yeah, so here we are. So what I've got is a cheap, crappy set of headers from eBay, and I'm going to cut these bad boys up and try to make something that will get me by for a little while until I have some time to be able to build the headers that I want to build. So here we go. Well, we got that header done that I was working on. We got the other side done. My buddy Corey is in there working on some wiring under the dash, trying to get that all sorted out. He's behind tinted glass, doesn't want to really be on camera, so you got a hand. There you go. And now that this is all bolted on that side, and I went ahead and pulled this one back off so that I can start working on the rest of the bin. I needed something to kind of come up and around and then back down underneath the header. So I went over to my buddy Dustin's. He's got an exhaust bender, and we bent up this menagerie of shit here. And I'm going to try to take it and cut it apart and start a loop coming back around. This is, like I said, definitely not my ideal scenario here. Well, guys, it's the next day, and I had to stop working on the headers yesterday and start working on some other stuff because that just wasn't going to cut it. Even for a set of ghetto, get me by for now set of headers, I couldn't hang with that. That just isn't going to work. So I went ahead and ordered some mandrel bent tube that is going to be a lot smaller radius. That's a smaller radius as you can do with the bender that Dustin had, so that's all we could do here in town. And I wish I would have been forethinking enough to be able to know that and realize that and see that, but sometimes reality is you just kind of have to play it out and see how it goes, and that doesn't work. So I ordered some stuff. I was really hoping that yesterday I would have the headers all done. Today I've got one fitting, AN fitting coming that I need to be able to finish hooking up the fuel system. I needed one piece for that, so I was figuring by the time that gets here, get everything else on kind of all wrapped up, we'll be good to go. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to probably wait till tomorrow, so that's one more day closer to SEMA before I get a chance to even hear the thing run and see if it's going to even fire. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Corey spent a bunch of time yesterday getting all the wires into the firewall and under the dash and tucked up and looking pretty nice. I really appreciate him doing that. There wasn't a ton of like wiring to do, but we didn't want to make big giant holes to put big plugs through the firewall and everything, obviously. So he had to go through and depin almost the whole entire wiring harness for the sniper setup and some of the stuff in there for the MSD stuff. And we had to run other wires in there and everything too. So it ended up being quite a little bit of work to be able to get all that in there, but it's pretty much in there and buttoned up now. We've got a few other little odds and ends things like some turn signal wiring and some basic lights and things like that. So that stuff could technically even be done after SEMA. No one's going to know that, but since we got a little bit of time today, that might be kind of what gets done today. We did have to have some pictures in for SEMA, so kind of stuck some stuff inside the cab here to get kind of a visual of what the inside of the cab looks like, and just did that to get a quick picture and send it on down the way. So I figured I'd give you guys a quick peek of what it looks like in here, because it's pretty badass looking. I love the way that's all coming together. It's killer. I'm gonna have to really work hard not to scratch that floor all up, and I think the color of the seats kind of works with the color that's going in there. Julie is making some cushions, and this is the first time you get to see the steering wheel on there. And the shifter clears just barely on the dash. So that's pretty awesome. It all comes together and works pretty good. I am loving that. So I think I'm going to try to get the radiator mount a little better and the fan on it. And, oh, the radiator, by the way, went to stick that in there. Does not clear the blower. Had to pull the blower and all of the throttle bodies and all this stuff off the top of the motor to be able to get the radiator in there. That sucks. So didn't get video of that for you guys, but little inside drama of how that all went. So that was fun. And yeah, I need to still make some hoses or come up with some hoses or something for all of that. So I can get that stuff all done today. That won't take too awful long, but or at least hopefully it don't take too awful long. And get that other AN line done. Should be ready to fire this thing tomorrow after going ahead and getting the exhaust finished up. So hopefully I am flashing you to that next. Well, guys, it's actually been a couple days longer than I was expecting it to be. This has been a fight. This has been a struggle every step of the way. But we're there, I think, finally. I hope. I don't know. We'll see. We've been fighting with the belt, been fighting with the hoses, been fighting with all of the fuel lines, and I'm extremely disappointed in my cheap Chinese fuel lines. Imagine that, because we haven't even got this thing started yet. All we've done is hit the key, and I've probably lost over a gallon of fuel on the floor. But we're finally past all that. I've got the sniper all set up, so I think we are finally at the point where we can actually start to try to fire this thing. And even though I've left you guys out of most of the drama so far, you guys got to be here for the first try to see if it'll even start and watch it go up in flames or whatever it's going to do. So here we go. fuel pump. Check the fuel one more time, make sure we're not leaking anywhere. I think we're good. Okay, well, it didn't explode, but it didn't start, so now what? As you guys know, this isn't a big production deal. It's pretty much me just shooting video, and every once in a while I get Julie to shoot some. So at this point, I am super stressed out, and doing some video is kind of the last thing that's on my mind. And I apologize to you guys for that, because I want to have you guys be part of the whole thing here, but I'm under a ton of stress at this point, and our deadline is looming, and I'm at a loss temporarily. So didn't get all of the video of trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Did get some a little bit here down the line, so we'll go ahead and I'll just kind of give you guys kind of a walkthrough of what's happening here and some of the videos that you got coming up next. So we had obviously not enough battery there, so we went ahead and threw a jump pack on there to try to go ahead and try to get a little bit more juice. Still would not start, and then threw a spark plug tester deal on there so we could test to make sure we had fire. We had fire, so I was like, okay, well, we got fire, we got fuel. It's got to be a computer issue somewhere or something for the timing or something like that. So kind of trying to figure out exactly what's going on, and in the middle of that, I happened to look up and see a buddy of mine driving by in his badass Corvette that he's got, and he is an LS guy that's done a lot of this stuff. I actually bought the MSD box from him, so I'm like, shit, call him real quick. So called him, he swung back around and started giving me a hand on the thing, and actually ended up not being too big of a deal, just kind of a setting on the MSD box that I wasn't aware of. Never messed with the stuff before, didn't come with instructions, so I probably would have got there eventually, but it would have been 5 hours down the road of YouTubing a bunch of stuff or whatever, right? So anyways, now we're on to video with him here, and we're gonna try to start it again.
Sounds like it's just firing on that side.
Sounds like this one. Huh?
Sounds like it's just firing on that side.
Just on the one side? This side's not firing for some reason. So yeah, DJ adjusted the MSD box and it fires right up like I was expecting it to the first go around here, but it's not running very good. It sounds like hell, and it is only running on the odd side of the motor. All of the even cylinders are not running. So I was like, oh man, now what am I gonna do? I'm sitting here thinking, you know, your mind goes wild and crazy because I'm sitting here stressed out, and I think, okay, I had the motor all apart. I don't have it timed right, you know, and then 2 seconds, half a second, whatever later, your mind goes, okay, you idiot. If it was not timed right, it wouldn't run on one side of the motor, not on the other. So, and then my mind goes crazy. I'm like, oh man, it's got to be one of those pins in the harness that we depinned, and now I don't know how I'm going to be able to figure out exactly where all those are supposed to go. It's going to be a total pain. Start freaking out about that for a second, you know, but then reality is like, okay, well, let's back up a little bit farther here. And then DJ says, hey, do you have grounds on that side? And I'm like, yeah, I got ground. I couldn't find a bolt to put it in the head, so I just stuck it up here on the valve cover real quick so I could try it. And he said, well, we probably ought to move it to the head just to make for sure that our ground issue is taken care of and make sure that's not what it is. So go on a deep hunt, finally find a bolt, stick it in the back of the head, and then we try it again. What is that, a 15?
Yeah, it's not bigger.
Bigger? This is an 18.
Hey, throw it in the firewall.
That's not better. Where'd that spark plug tester
I
go?
put it back up there on the regulator impacts.
Cool.
Oh,
Can you paint the inside and stuff?
Huh?
Can you paint all this?
No, that's all original.
There's gotta be a joke there.
No, Jeff did it. I didn't do it.
That's pretty sweet.
I like the clean paint on the inside and the rough on the out. And then I dropped a fucking wrench on there earlier and chipped it right there.
That's why I said no to that big ratchet.
Yeah. Hey, what? Another one's got a lot smaller head.
Yeah, I got it on there. I just gotta check it up there.
A lot of shit backed up in there for that tight area. Turn signal still on in your car.
see, I started liking it.
Should do a walk around of his car.
You got the work with this.
Yep.
Ready?
Yeah. Got a spark.
Hang on, hang on.
Just a minute.
It will make you jump.
You were being a jokester earlier, weren't you?
Okay.
Fire, fire, fire! Man, you guys can only imagine how much stress is now off of my life knowing that that thing will hit on all 8 cylinders. And now we've actually ran it long enough to where the computer's kind of starting to pick up a good idle and all the numbers are starting to look better on it. Still needs some run time, you know, actually on the streets driving around. But I think it's pretty close to being there. We've ran it long enough now where the cam is broken, and really the only problem that we had after it started running, there was a little bit of oil coming out of the little block off plate that goes on the side of the block there right above where the oil filter goes on. Threw a wrench on that real quick. No big deal. Nothing's leaking out of it now, so we're good to go. And I did have it sitting the idle somewhere around like 1200 I think or something, so it was idling kind of fast there so we could get the cam broke in. But now I need to go ahead and idle that back down, and I want to fire it back up for you guys so you guys can hear it running with just, you know, at a regular normal idle. I want to hear it running at a normal idle too. So I want to do that, but the wires that were on there, we bought some El Cheapo, you know, there we go. You know, get what you pay for. They're burnt up. They lasted long enough to get a good break in. That's about it. So got to get some new wires that are decent. Need to get something to, you know, sheath them so they don't get hot. So probably flash to doing that in the next, you know, day or so, something like that. And I've got to get all the rest of the stuff buttoned up here on the front of the truck so we can have everything else done, and you get the brake lines and stuff finished on the front axle, get all that stuff bled, and we're getting pretty close. So yeah, I'm excited for all that. I want to give a big shout out to DJ for helping me get that thing going. I probably would have got there, but it probably would have been like 5 hours more down the road if he hadn't just come back by and helped. So that's a huge thing for him doing that. I appreciate that. And Julie thinks we should do a walk around of his car. I'll show you guys his car real quick. If you guys like it and you want to see a walk around of his car, leave a comment down below and let me know, and I'll talk to him. Maybe he'll let us get a walk around of his car and see it, take a few hits or something on the track or something like that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I guess we'll close this thing out with it sitting there at a good idle, and I will see you guys on the next video where we're going to be doing all the finishing touches right before we go to SEMA. Well guys, yesterday I got my wires in and got those installed. Got some nice little, good looking little covers on there, you know, and those are supposed to protect it from the header completely. The wire can lay on the header at that point, they say, even though they don't. But anyways, those should take care of our problem there. And I went to go fire it up, and then I was going to start the camera for you guys after it was running, let you guys see it idling, and then it starts puking antifreeze out all over the place. So now I've got the thermostat housing off, and I've got the thermostat out of it. On the LS motors, there's just a little rubber O-ring in there kind of around the thermostat, and that's how it seals. And I don't know if I got the wrong ones. I've got the one that they recommended, but something's not right there with the aftermarket housing. And I'm also having a little bit of problems with the way the hose comes off and having clearance for my overflow and everything. So I found a whole different housing with a different angle to it. Should allow me to get my overflow on there, and then it should fix, hopefully, my leaking antifreeze issue. So I had that, and I'm not able to really get the darn thing started for you guys. And besides that, then back here in the back, I can't really show you down in there very good, but I've got a couple of Chinese fittings left in there, and I'm sitting here working on some of this other stuff, trying to finish up some of the other things on the truck. You can see I started cutting the hood out and got that pretty well dialed in now, and some other stuff on the inside. So I'm sitting here working on that stuff since I can't get you guys the video that I was hoping to get you for it idling, trying to get this stuff done, and I start smelling gas. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. So I get up and I look, and one of the last remaining fittings up there that is the cheap Chinese stuff is leaking. So I don't like to be the guy like, you know, call people out and talk shit on stuff or whatever, you know, especially on channel, because I don't feel like, you know, it's appropriate a lot of times. But I think this is a safety issue, really, because this stuff isn't safe. It's carrying fuel and it leaks. So evil energy, do not buy it. It is bad. That's my personal opinion, obviously, but do you really want to take chances with your fuel lines? It's not a good scenario. So I've bought some other stuff now that is, you know, higher end stuff, and hopefully it's going to work out well for me. I think it should. I put the other stuff on there on the pressure side of the system after that big fuel pump, and it's not leaking at all. So everything seems fine there. Crazy thing is, this fitting is actually on the gravity feed side going into the pump. I've only got about a foot of stuff from the tank to the pump, and it's leaking. And I've only got like a couple gallons of gas in there putting pressure on it. So imagine if it actually had a full tank of gas on it, it's probably just going to spew out of there.
and that's just gravity. So that's really, really sad scenario for a fuel line fitting to be leaking like that. That's not good. So don't buy the evil energy stuff, my opinion, like I said. So anyways, I guess that's about all I got for you guys on this video, because I can't make it run. My next video I want to do is all the finishing touches on the truck, so I want to hold off anything else that I'm doing for that video. So I guess with that, I will see you guys on the next one.